On today's show, Minnesota has a rich history of deer hunting, as well as deer camps. So we found a camp that got its start in, of all things, an old boxcar. Up next, one of the oldest forms of art in the world, a taxidermist. We'll tag along with a Minnesota specialist and learn firsthand the art of his craft. Laura Shera gears up for hunting season with a venison recipe, but this isn't just any normal venison burger. Don't miss Laura. She goes wild in the kitchen. And our Minnesota-bound classic this week deals with hunting, but not for the actual deer. How about for the deer's antlers? Those stories and more next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi everybody, Raven and I welcome you to the show. You know, it's deer hunting time throughout most of America. Deer camps come in various forms. There are deer tents, deer cabins, but have you ever had a boxcar deer camp?
Long ago, old railroad cars reached the end of the line.
It was a crew dining car. It was used for the crew to eat in.
They turned into deer hunting shacks.
This cabin's been here for just about 40 years, so it's seen its share of mice and rats.
When you move into deer camp, there's room for everybody.
Might as well set the generator back where we normally do.
Rick Stork bought this old railroad car 40 years ago.
I bought it from Brainerd from the railroad yard there. It cost me $155 for the railroad car back in 1966. It cost me $75 to have it moved here, so. And back in 1965, I paid $100 for the 40 acres, $2.50 an acre, so.
A cheap price for such a deer hunting castle.
We've had 40 years of hunting, and man, it's been fantastic. So many memories here of the two guys I've hunted with all these years.
Those two hunting buddies, Gary and Ed, have since passed away.
So I'm the only one left of the original three. It used to be just three of us come up here every year. Now some of the younger crew have come in. Gary's son, Greg, is here, and one of my son-in-laws, and then Ed's brother started coming about 10 years ago.
Slowly, the warmth of fire replaces the chill of a November forest, and the old railroad car transforms into something else.
Beginning to look like home. This is our bedrooms back here. There's a place for 5 right now. There could be 6. Plenty of room. Boxcar is 8 foot wide and 40 feet long, and it weighs 20,000 pounds, made of solid oak. Gotta have onions in the potatoes, no doubt.
Nobody goes hungry in deer camp.
We eat a whole lot more than we should, I can tell you that.
Of such things are deer camp nights.
Guys, you gotta shoot the big one tomorrow.
Full meals and full houses.
Twos are wild.
And full bunks. Until darkness leads to dawn, and deer camp becomes a reality show.
That's close. But it's a pretty nice morning, can't complain. Just nice being out here. So I hope we get something anyway this morning.
Like wisps of fog, deer move like silent ghosts. A retired Minneapolis policeman, Rick keeps watch over the deer trails, and soon his rifle fires.
That's a nice sight doe.
Bagging a deer is part of the hunt, but there's more. More than dawns and days in the woods. Deer camps become special memories in the life of a deer hunter.
Just wish my old partners Gary and Ed could be here, but I'm sure they'll be here in spirit.
On opening day, Rick paused to fill a promise, climbing atop Gary's old tree stand to spread the ashes of his hunting companion.
Well, he'll be with us hunting this year. In spirit, hopefully.
a joyful spirit that still fills the old railroad car once a year. When we return, ever wonder how those taxidermists do what they do so well? Well, we tagged along to find out the tricks of the trade.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers. Seven Clans Casino. And by Connecticut.
Welcome back. You know, in the autumn, lots of things happen in nature, lots of things happening in the great outdoors. We found one you'll enjoy. All right, wow, Rick. This is where all the final work ends up, huh?
Yeah, this is for the showroom and accumulation of many, many years in taxidermy.
Rick Simonson's front yard sign in Coon Rapids, Minnesota says taxidermy. But what's it really mean?
This is all about is preserving memories.
Oh, absolutely. Right, right. You bet.
Stuffed critters, stuffed fish, looking lifelike and memorable. Loosely translated, taxidermy means movement of skin. Practiced for centuries, taxidermy is the reason we wear shoes made of leather, animal skin. Today, taxidermy has evolved into a form of wildlife art, mounting fish, birds, or mammals and placing them in recreated habitat.
And it replicates what happens in nature.
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah. I've had fox with pheasants or grouse and so on, and kind of adds to the mount.
Yeah. What's the most difficult thing in here to replicate?
I would say a turkey.
Really?
A strutting turkey is the hardest thing to do in taxidermy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we got an example over here. This is a Miriam on the end.
Oh, yeah.
And they blow their chest up, and then the dome feathers up here stand up, so you get that dome look and that real round look to it. So yeah, they're very difficult to do. This is a Miriam out of the Black Hills that I'm working on today.
Skills required of a taxidermist are many, from artistry with paint to a very strong stomach.
Well, I started when I was 12 years old. I would trap, believe it or not, trap mice, and I would skin them out, and I'd mount pigeons, and I just had an interest for it. My dad said that at about age 7 that he never had to clean another fish. What I do is I lay a little ball of cotton behind each feather, and there's a lot of feathers in here. That's pretty good.
Over the years, he's stuffed everything from African beasts to trophy fish and more.
My favorite is probably birds. I enjoy doing birds the most. It's kind of a strange business to be in. Mounting things that, dead things that are going to go in people's houses and so on. And I can understand the aversion to that. My own wife, she doesn't want things in the house. So, it's all out here in the showroom. That's Bryn. She's my helper. Come here. And she keeps me, she's my companion. My best buddy, aren't you, huh? Basically, he's done.
Before you can say gobble gobble, the face of a tom turkey comes to life.
There it is. Finished.
So goes Rick's world of taxidermy. Memories made of skins, feathers, and fur, and sawed logs converted into giant fish.
It's just a passion that I just was born with. And it's still prevalent today. I just really enjoy what I do.
Coming up, Laura Shera goes wild in the kitchen and in the season. How about venison burgers, complete with blue cheese and mushrooms?
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Ellsworth Creamery and by Ice Force, proven hard water gear.
Ho, ho, ho! How are my girls doing?
Santa!
Is it that time of year already?
It sure is, and I'm here for those wonderful Wisconsin cheese gift boxes.
We've all been working overtime, Santa, and we've got over 240 kinds of cheese to share.
240 kinds of cheese? How will I ever be able to deliver all of that?
Well, Santa, it's called the internet, and you can order them online.
Thanks, Gladys and Florence, for making my job so easy.
Lots of folks claim they don't like to eat venison, don't like the flavor, don't like the taste. Well, if that's the case, it hasn't been made the right way. Daughter Laura goes wild in the kitchen.
Today we're getting wild in the kitchen with Chef Jim Kinberg, who's the executive chef of Fire Lake Grill House and Cocktail Bar.
Yep.
And Jim, today we are cooking venison, and deer hunting season is almost like a national holiday around this region, isn't it?
It very much is.
Lots of people have venison in their freezer, and I understand we're doing blue cheese stuffed burgers.
We are.
That sounds delicious. What are our main ingredients here?
So we start off with the ground venison. If you're a good deer hunter, you always have some ground venison laying around. And if you're a good Minnesotan, you love any kind of burger stuffed with cheese and what have you.
That's right.
So
I noticed you have a special seasoning over here?
we do, and this is one of my favorite little spice rubs for venison. It has some juniper berries in there, some coriander, black peppercorn, white peppercorn, and fennel seeds.
All right, so what are our first steps here?
So our first step, we're going to take the ground venison, and venison's a pretty lean meat. We're going to take about a 3-ounce ball of it, and we're going to form it into a little round, and then we're going to kind of smash it down. You'll notice I'm using a little plastic wrap. That just helps get nice and thin. Okay, just want to make a little circle, and we're going to repeat that step. So once again, about a 2 to 3 ounce ball. You want them about the same size. Form it into a little round, and then we smash it down.
So both of these will equal one burger at the end of it.
You got it. Next, we're going to take a little of this blue cheese. We just kind of want to, maybe about a ½ ounce of it. Crumble it right in the center like so. All right, and then we've got some roasted mushrooms over here. Basically what I did, I took a nice assortment of shiitakes, oysters, creminis, whatever mushrooms you have available. We just take a little bit of good olive oil, a little bit of seasoned salt, throw them in a 400-degree oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. They start to soften up, and then they'll look like this.
Easy enough.
We're going to top off the blue cheese with about equal amount of blue cheese to roasted mushrooms. Ready to assemble?
I'm ready to assemble.
All right, so now what we do, we just take that burger, top it off. Now here's the trick. Watch what I'm doing with my hand. So I'm just kind of forming that around, like so.
Well, that's easy enough.
Yeah, so what we're doing is just sealing in all that cheese so it doesn't ooze out all over the grill. They usually will crack just a little bit, but the better you seal it, the more of the stuff that's going to stay inside.
Fantastic.
All right, there you have it.
Okay. So now it's time for the grill?
As soon as we season it, it's time for the grill.
We can't forget the important
That's
special
right.
seasoning.
So a little bit of seasoning on both sides.
This is the secret, isn't it?
This is the secret. All right, there we have it. We're ready for the grill.
Okay. So how many minutes on each side?
Depending upon how hot your coals actually are, but roughly 4 to 5 minutes on each side. All right, so we are ready to kind of assemble this burger, and you can put whatever you want on it. When you got great ingredients like this, I like to be kind of a minimalist about it. So we've got a little of that secret special sauce from Fire Lake. It's a little sherry scallion dressing. We're going to serve this with a little mixed green salad, little cranberries, a little candied walnuts, and bon appetit.
Yes, bon appetit. And you too can get wild and creative in the kitchen.
Every autumn, more than 475,000 Minnesotans head to the woods to go deer hunting and celebrate a long tradition. But to Dr. Richard Kyle, Chief of Orthopedics at Hennepin County Medical Center, deer season also means something else.
What comes to my mind are the patients that we see in the emergency room during that period of time. And we know when that season starts, we have a season where people are going to be falling out of deer stands and occasionally either shooting themselves or getting shot.
Deer hunters in tree stands can be an accident waiting to happen.
There was a study in Ohio by Dr. Charles Cook, and it's a fairly large deer hunting area that is very similar to ours. They have a lot of deer stands. And over a period of 10 years, there was over 150 severe injuries from falls from a deer stand. The falls have a very common occurrence. The single biggest factor was the fact that they didn't use safety straps, either going up to the deer stand or particularly while they were in the deer stand. By the time you fall 10 to 15 feet, when you hit the ground, you're going about 30 miles an hour. And 80% of people that fall out of a deer stand suffer a severe fracture. And a percentage of those are spinal cord injuries and head injuries.
Dr. Kyle says if you or another deer hunter are injured, don't try to be a doctor.
I think you should have a cell phone and you need to call 911. You need to make the other hunter comfortable, keep them warm. One other tip that I think that actually comes from the military, if you're hunting, about 40% of the injuries can be gunshot wounds. They're usually self-inflicted. Either the hunter tries to bring the gun up loaded with a hauling rope and it drops and falls off, or when he falls out of the deer stand, the gun goes off. I think you should have a tourniquet in your pack. A tourniquet is a simple thing that really can save your life in a situation where it might take some time for the emergency crew to get there. People really have to understand that handling a firearm is the same as handling any piece of equipment or any sporting activity. You have to be trained, you have to understand the rules, and you have to obey those rules. And most hunters do that. It's a very safe sport when you look at that and you follow the rules and regulations that you've learned. It's the inexperienced people that cause most of the problems.
So stay safe out there, deer hunters. A broken femur is no trophy to bring home from deer camp. Still ahead, while most hunters are searching for deer, our classic this week deals with a family who is hunting for deer sheds. What do they do with them? Stay tuned.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Hennepin County Medical Center, Minnesota Agricultural Water Resources Coalition, Minnesota Soybean Farmers and their checkoff, and by Smoothie Oil Company.
You know, if there's anything in nature that has fascinated us for a long, long time, it's antlers. How do they grow? Why do they grow that way? Etc., etc. And now we have antlers turned into art.
Come on, Dave, let's go. Pretty easy to see them now in the woods if they're kind of light color.
Meet John, Barb, and 7-year-old David, the Wormerskirchen family, a family that every springtime hunts for deer antlers called sheds.
We're trying to find where the deer were yarded up during the wintertime.
Oh my God.
Hi, found one?
I did.
Ah.
Woo!
All right. Nothing huge, but every one's a trophy. Wow. And once you've found a few, then your eyes kind of pick them out. It's like hunting for morel mushrooms. You know, once you find them, and all of a sudden you start seeing more. So.
But in this hunting story, John sees more than a shed antler. In his hands, this piece of nature's art will be turned into a piece of his art.
Yeah, this is a small shop where I do all the antler art.
What began as an antler hunting hobby 15 years ago has turned into a small family business called Sand Creek Antlers.
He enjoys building that stuff, and he's so good at it.
Once found, antlers of all sizes and shapes become something else.
This is the moose chandelier. These are Canadian moose, and I just pin it together, and then I run the wires all the way through the antler. So once I have it all drilled, I take the wire, and you got to try to feed it through. It's coming together.
Coming together as only antlers could in the eyes of an antler artist.
It sure works, and there's your lamp. it's nice to make something that you can look at for years to come.
David, stay over here.
It's not finding the sheds, it's just getting out and enjoying nature. That's what it's all about.
Forever fascinating. Antlers. Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Scher, and of course, always the star of the show who does not wear antlers is Raven.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com.